everyone, I'm Paula Ryder, Therapeutic Recreation. Welcome back to our kitchen. Today we are going to be making some peanut butter Cheerio bars. Simple recipe, fun, and usually it's ingredients that you already have at your home. We'll show you some variations later that you can do in case you don't have some of these things. What you're going to need ahead of time is some wax paper, a pan, a baking dish, any type would work. It doesn't have to be the glass, it can be the metal pan. A big bowl that you're going to be doing all your mixing in, a saucepan that you're going to be using the stove in just a few minutes, and a couple of measuring cups. The ingredients that we're going to be using are peanut butter, honey, and Cheerios. Just 3 ingredients, and these bars are so delicious you'll wonder why there's only 3 ingredients. So the first thing you're going to do, I have my recipe, I have it right here so I can see it while I'm working. You're going to take your baking dish and you're going to lay it out. And the reason we use some wax paper is that after we're done making the bars, they're much easier to get out of the dish. So we use the wax paper and you're going to measure it and cut it so that it kind of fits the pan. It doesn't have to be perfect, and then you'll press it down ahead of time. Just backing up a little bit. Make sure you always wash your hands before you're going to be cooking. And I washed my hands before we got started here, so just make sure you do that ahead of time. So that is our prepared pan. So that I'm just going to set aside because we're going to be using that in just a couple of minutes. Next on our recipe is take a large bowl and we're going to be measuring out our Cheerios. You can use any type of cereal you have. And if you use Cheerios, they make so many different flavors of Cheerios now. They make apple cinnamon Cheerios, chocolate, peanut butter. These are honey nut. Or you can use plain. If you want to cut down on the sugar, you can use just plain. And we're going to be measuring out, let's see, 6 cups of cereal or Cheerios. That's 1. You're going to want it so it's to the rim. That is 1 full cup. So that's 2. And try to measure over the bowl. So if you spill, it goes into the bowl and not all over the counter. So it's good to just do it right over. So that's 3. If you get a little bit too much in there, that is okay. 4, 5, and 6. There we go. 6 bowls. So we have our cereal in there. And again, you're going to set that aside because you're going to be using that in just a few minutes. The best way to have a recipe go well is to prepare ahead of time. So we've got our pan prepared, we have our bowl of cereal prepared, and we kind of set this up aside. So our space is open, and the next thing we're going to be doing is measuring out our peanut butter and our honey. Let's do peanut butter first. So open the jar, and here's a cup. Let's see, it's going to take 2 cups, so we're going to be using 2 of these. This is 1 full cup. So I'm just going to grab a knife here really quick because I think that's going to be the easiest way to get the peanut butter out. So you're going to just scoop it out and put it in here in the cup, and it's pretty sticky, as you know, so it's going to take a little handy work there to get that in there. And if you don't want to use peanut butter, you know, some people can't or don't really want to use peanut butter, you can use almond butter, which would be pretty much the same consistency and would turn out just as well. So there's almost 1 cup. It's a lot of peanut butter. So again, with this 1 cup, you're going to want to make it all the way to the top. You can even take your knife and kind of smooth it off. So that's 1 full cup, okay? And it says to put it in a saucepan. So this is a saucepan. One that can go on the stove and heat up pretty well. So we're gonna scoop that peanut butter in the saucepan. And I'm using my knife to kind of scrape it out. You can also use, you know, a big spoon if you want. Whatever you have that will make it a little bit easier for you, because peanut butter, like I said, is very, very sticky. So we're gonna set that down and make our second cup of peanut butter. See if we can get that out. A little bit larger glob. There we go. I'm working kind of fast for the video, but you guys don't need to work this fast. You take your time and make it very special for yourself or your family or whoever you're making the snack for. Sometimes it can be just for yourself. You want something sweet. And this is an easy, fun recipe that you can put together to share with everyone in your home or your friends, or just have it for yourself. So there is the second cup of peanut butter, okay? Full to the rim. Again, scrape it into the pan, just like that. I am kind of using the side of the pan to scrape the excess, and we'll get that into the pan in just a second, but make sure you get it all out. We want to use every piece that we can. There we go. Okay, so let's set that aside. Put the lid on the peanut butter and let's get the honey out. So we have another cup, and this is the honey. And you know what? It might take a long time to squeeze out 1 cup. So in order to make it a little bit faster, we can just take this lid off, okay? Take the lid off, and that way you can squeeze it in here a little bit faster, because we know we're going to be using quite a bit. 1 cup is quite a bit of honey. Go. And you might have to go to the second one. You can turn it upside down so we can get whatever's in the bottom. So let's go ahead and open this other one up, because I think we're going to have to use the second thing of honey. This lid is not opening. Okay, there we go. And again, you can go ahead and take the top off, make it go a little bit faster. This is a brand new one, so I got to take this top off too. There we go. And go ahead and add it to the other honey. It's okay to mix the two. They're both just honey. There we go. Okay. We have 1 cup of honey. We're going to add it to the peanut butter. Pour it in. And this time you might want to use a spoon instead of a knife to scrape out all of the honey. So these are 2 mixtures that are pretty sticky. Put honey and peanut butter together and it's double stickiness. So this is what our pan looks like so far. It's the peanut butter and the honey. And next, we're going to take it to the stove and warm it up. Okay, so now we put our pan with our peanut butter and honey, and we're putting it on the stove, and you're going to turn on maybe like medium heat. We don't want it too hot. We want it to melt and blend together without burning. If you have the heat on too high, it might burn, and that's the last thing we want. So have it on medium heat, and as you can see, the consistency is starting to blend together really well. So we just want this to warm up and just be consistently smooth. And it's getting there pretty quickly. There you go. So you're going to want to keep stirring. You don't want it to just set for any period of time. If you let it just sit there, the ingredients in the bottom are going to burn. So you're going to want to stir constantly. Just like so. And I can tell it's starting to get like maybe even like a little bit lighter of a feeling since it's starting to melt. And it smells so good. Again, over medium heat. You don't want it too hot. And when you're working over the stove, you want to be very careful. You're holding on to I use this type of pan so I can hold on right here without it being too hot. If it does get warm, you can always use a pot holder here. But this pan has nice handles to hold on to, and I'm using a plastic spoon, so that is not going to heat up. You can tell it's getting really, really nice and creamy here. Okay, I think we're almost there. Okay, I think that looks good. That's what it's going to look like when you're almost ready to pour it into the cereal. Okay, so I cleared out a little bit of our ingredients to make some more working space. So this is what it's going to look like after we remove the peanut butter and the honey from the stove. It looks perfect and smells delicious. So now we're going to take this pan, hold on to the edge, and just pour the peanut butter mixture over the cereal. And take a spoon at the same time and scrape. Try to get as much as you can out of the pan. Just scrape it out as best you can. There you go. You gotta kind of have to work a little fast at this point. And then you're going to stir the cereal and the peanut butter and honey all together. You want the cereal to be as coated as possible. Try to get as many pieces as you can covered in the peanut butter and honey. There you go. And that's what it's going to look like. When it gets to the point where you have all the cereal covered and well, they say coated in the recipe, you're going to take your prepared pan that we prepared ahead of time, and you're going to just pour everything into the pan. You can, if you want, leave it on the counter and scoop it in too. Sometimes the pan gets a little heavy, so you can do it that way. Just scoop it in. Sometimes you can use a larger spoon, or you can just hold the bowl over the pan and just pour it in, whatever's easier for you. There you go, scrape it out as much as you can. There you go. That's what it looks like. And then when it's in the pan, let's set this over here. Now you're gonna take your spoon, smooth it around as evenly as possible. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just want to cover as much area as you can. And when it's even, like that, push it in the corners. Try to, so mine's kind of bunched up in the middle. I'm going to try to push it over into the corner a little bit. There we go. And then see how there's some stuck on the spoon? You might want to take, we'll take another spoon and kind of scrape off the excess. Set that aside. And when it looks how you want it to look, and that's pretty even. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's what it's going to look like when you're done. And now the recipe says to place it in the refrigerator until it's cool. So at this point, our recipe is done, and we're going to let it cool so that we can serve it quickly. All right? Okay, so we took it out of the refrigerator and it's all cooled down. Now we're ready to cut it. You can, if you want, you can lift it out of the whole pan. And actually, that might be easier, so we'll do that. Lift it out of the pan. And have my plate ready for serving. So You're gonna take a knife, and you can use a small knife, or if you want to, you can use a little bit larger of a knife. This is actually a bread knife. It's got the edges and it's not quite as sharp, so this might be a good one. So we can just take this and cut it. Make some bars. This knife actually works really well. Instead of this little one, cut some bars, and you can take them and place them on a plate. And they're ready to serve. So enjoy, everybody, and we will see you next week with another recipe. Take care now.